Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Beth and this is Spiral Path Arts. And it's a very rainy, stormy, yucky day here in Alabama today. So I am happily doing indoor projects, but unfortunately I don't have very good lighting. So I have some studio lights set up and I know it looks a little harsh. The best I can do. I had plans to do this in the kitchen where I had beautiful suffuse light in the mornings, but it's not happening. So here we are. Today, I want to show you what I've been working on lately, my latest little obsession, and this may end up being, probably will end up being a multi-part series of a little more to do, DIY, tutorial type situation than I often give, but let me show you. I'm going to switch cameras and I'm going to show you what I have been working on lately. Okay, again, lighting is awful today and I'm doing the best I can with what I have. This is what I have been working on lately. These are traveler journals and they elasticize in here. And this one needs this was my first one. My second one I've done. The first one is not in here. First one I did machine only, and I liked it enough, but then I really wanted to start doing some slow stitching, so I decided to do some hand stitching. But I have some tweaks I need to do to the assembly, and I think I figured those issues out. But this is what a traveler's journal insert looks like. You can get them with lined paper pages, blank pages, square pages, whatever, grid line papers. But I ordered these in bulk, so I have a bunch of them. You can make your own if you've got paper and you want to just make your own signatures and you can customize the sizes. I'm just going to go kind of a quick page through of the ones that I've made. You can see they're not patchwork together, they're more collaged together, little bits of fabric and lots of different textured stitches. And this one I did a dandelion and some bullion stitch lavenders, but you can do, and there's also some, I don't know, daisies of some kind. They didn't really they weren't a specific type of flower. Using up little scraps of fabric, using up little bits of embroidery floss, and just playing kind of a sampler. So that was the first hand-stitched one I did. And again, it needs different elastic, and I'm having some issues with my eyelets. We'll get to that when we get to that part of the assembly. So I don't know if these are in the order that I made them. I'm pretty sure it's not, but here's one. I've added some little yo-yos, French knot, and straight stitch, chamomile flowers, little bits of seed stitching, all kinds of little spirals and doodads and doohickeys. So that could be the front or that could be the front of this particular journal. I'm not sure. We'll see. Actually, depending on how I make it, the user could choose. Saving these two for last. And here is another little, just again, lots of different fabrics mixed together, lots of different stitches for texture. And I always want to do at least one kind of main motif on these. I'm kind of leaning that way, something plant related, herb, flower related, I don't know. I'm having fun with it. And the thing is, I go into it, start it with no plan in mind. I just let the fabric and my mood determine what, and how much thread I have and thread colors. Like this one is a bit of batik that had little dots on it, and I just put different size French dots on each of the dots. And mixed and matched my threads. Different directions of running stitch on one piece makes it look like it's more piece than it is. Okay, let's get through these. Then this one was a lot of fun. I wanted to do something in all greens. I had started with a circular idea. And as you can see over here, I've got a couple spirals and some circles and some yo-yos. But I was inspired to do some mushrooms. I wanted to do mushrooms on one. And I found this background color of this one, very mushroomy color, and it is morel season currently. So I got out one of my embroidery books and saw this detached chain stitch. And I was like, that will give the texture of morel mushrooms. So I did that, little red cap, again with the circular kind of motif that I was going through. I echo stitched around those. And again, just I can sit in the evening or for 10 minutes before I leave for work in the morning and just do a little section. And just do a little one string of thread while I'm drinking my tea in the morning. It's kind of very relaxing. It's the whole intention. This one, then I wanted to go a different direction and do something in more neutrals and softer colors. So, light in here a little bit better. There, maybe that's better. Okay. And I had this little bit, I have a bunch of pretty good quantity of this lace, but I tea-dyed this lace. And I had some blush and bashful silk threads. I found these buttons in a bin. I bought a bucket of buttons that I bought. There's some alliteration. A bucket of buttons that I bought at, I wish it started with a B, but it doesn't, Salvation Army. And I hadn't done silk thread embroidery in a while, so I wanted to give my hand at some of that. This one, again, like on that other one, I let the fabric determine, and instead of following the polka dots, I went between the rows of polka dots on that batik and stitched, and again echoed the shapes of those yo-yos. And it looks like a lot, and it is a lot, but it's so calming and soothing. And this one, I just took one piece of needle of thread and let it meander across the fabric, and then I just used that as my line to continue the wavy line of stitching. So those are the covers that I have made thus far. And so there are 4 unfinished ones and a finished one. So I learned a lot from finishing that one. And we're going to go from there. While I'm doing a little show and tell here, I'm going to show you 2 other thread painting, a little different technique projects that I've been working on. And then we'll go from there. Kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole with thread painting. And this was the first project I started. And it's still not obviously finished. Let me show you the book it came. So I found this book, I think at Joann last summer. Oh, and again, the lighting is going to make it it's Paint with Thread by Emily Ferris. And this honeybee, I'm not sure what the difference is. I'm sorry. I love them all. And what really caught my eye. So it's a very nice book. It has, here's all the patterns that are in it. And I just was struck, of course, I'm not going to go with the simple one that's like the quickest to stitch. No, I'm going to go with the one with all the stitches, all the things. But it does come with the iron-on patterns in the back. And it has maybe more, let me see, yeah, the transfers. But it also has, like, you can do just what is that? Sunflower alone, or you can do the one with, more things. So I did the bee because I think there is just like the bird one, there's just the bird. Yeah, there's just the bee, which I may scan and resize for for one of these journals. I would like a little bee, but I don't know. This one might be too detailed for what I want. I don't know. Anyhow, I chose to do the bee on some Essex linen, which has some texture to it, and the transfer did not work. It worked initially, and that's why there's this piece of stabilizer on it, because next time, this is how I'm going to transfer my patterns, to get my patterns onto my, especially linen, because nothing against the book publishers or the techniques in there. Think if it was a smooth fabric, it probably would have worked fine. But since I had this textured fabric, it didn't work as well. By the time I had worked the outer stitches here, all the flowers, the bee had kind of worn off. And I kind of had to guess where some of these flowers went, and they're not completely done. So I'll show you this transfer, not even transfer technique, but how I stitch in another video when I show you. But basically, I just take a piece of water-soluble embroidery for machine embroidery, water-soluble stabilizer, and trace, put it over the pattern and trace with a fine tip pen, and then hoop everything together. Now this, because I'd already done the flowers, I just did the bee and kind of hooped it. And as you can see, as I've worked on the bee, I have clipped away. When I'm all done, I'll trim this away as close to possible, and then I can just put everything in water and this will wash away and we'll be good to go. But there's a lot of little stitches in there to get that shading. It's a lot of fun. But it's a little bit more, obviously more detailed. It takes a little bit more concentration. Again, just to follow somebody else's pattern takes me a lot more concentration than just sticking the needle in the fabric in and out and see what happens, see what happens. So that's fun. I can't wait till that's done. I'm probably just going to frame it in a smaller hoop than this one and finish it off and hang it on my wall because it's very pretty. Then, because I was so inspired by that, but I was getting bored with that particular project, I went and made this one. And this is semi-original. I found basic image. I kind of just did a Google image search for some mushrooms cluster, and but I did sketch it out myself in the size I wanted, but I just kind of wanted to get proportions from some photos and some images. So this is just some little psilocybin maybe mushrooms, and this was more of an experiment in getting the colors right, maybe doing a little bit of shading because there's some different shading on each of these. It's not perfect. It's pretty well done though. But then I put the little ferns in because I wanted to add a little more shape to it. And then I got a little crazy with the French knots. And I don't hate it, but I feel like it either needs a lot more or I overdid it. I'm not sure. You tell me. Again, I will probably just hoop this in a little 6-inch hoop and make a little wall hanging out of it. It's cute. It's too much to go on a journal. So this is some of the random stitching things I have been working on. These covers and these projects. This project I've been working on for close to a year. I think I bought that book last summer sometime, started it. When I got to the bee, I was just overwhelmed and couldn't do the bee. So I set it aside, got better magnifiers for my glasses, better lighting, etc., and was able to do the bee. Then I did that little guy, and then I've done these little guys. So the next video, this was kind of a teaser video. Next video, I'm going to show you how to start one of these, how we're going to work on these, and it'll all depend on how long my videos end up being. But I want to show you how to just the basics of assembling this part and this basic stitching, which with the exception of this fancy, and it's not that fancy, if you can crochet a chain stitch, you can do that stitch. That chain stitch, a little bit of blanket stitch, and a few lazy daisy stitches, it's all straight stitches. Everything is just a variation on, there's some fly stitch here too. But anyway, you can do this all with just a running stitch, a straight stitch. But I want to show you how to put these together and what I use. Then I'll show you the basic assembly instructions on how to put the lining in here, which again, don't use this one as a guide because it's the first one I did and I figured out some better techniques and how to lace the elastic. Again, this is old mask elastic from when we were making face masks every other day. I have better elastic for that. Oh, here's the other one. I will show you how to do the inside lining because this is the new way I'm doing the inside lining. I am affixing it to the stiff interfacing and machine quilting it down, putting the eyelets in this so they don't go through to the outside of these and cut through any outside stitches. How to lace the elastic in it. This is the better elastic that I have gotten for this, how that works, and how to insert the book pages, the booklets, and that type of thing. And putting closures. And I don't know if they're all going to have elastic closures or if they're going to have some other kind of closures. But when we get to those stages, I will show you. This is the first one I did, just proof of concept that I used just machine stitching. So if you don't want to do hand stitching, but you've got a lot of little fabric scraps, you can easily do this way. I didn't end up liking the way my machine stitches looked on it, so I went with hand stitches that I can control a little more. But it still makes a very nice little book cover. And Bob's your uncle. There you go. My next plans are to make some covers for this size journal. Those are traveler's journals, and they come in different sizes, but it doesn't have to be the size I have. This is one that I write my meditations and dreams and things like that in. And these are pretty common size, I believe. Hold on. 6 by 8. 6 by 8. So that's like A4, A5 size. I don't know. So I want to make some cloth covers. Obviously, this is not going to fit, but that will wrap around and wrap all the way around and then tie. So, but I did see somebody just last night when I was trying to remember how to put the elastic in these that had these and still did the elastic, and they just slid this book into the thing with the elastic through here. So that's a possibility too. I haven't gotten to this part of the project yet. I'm still wanting to actually stick to one thing at a time and finish these up. So I'm not going to go into explanations at this point because that's what the next video is about, how to actually make one of these. So if you're interested, like, subscribe, and put on notifications, and you'll know when the next video in the series comes out. I'll try to remember to put them in a playlist so you can find all the journal, hand stitching journal playlists and go from there. I might have to make another exterior for this one to match because I just grabbed a random piece of fabric and that doesn't really match any of those that I've made. So I guess that'll be the one I'll work on and show you how I do it. One that will match my little retro flowers here. Okay, I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for sticking with me and have a great day.